Jeannie Mai and Jeezy is getting a divorce. You saw something triggering online.
I did.
That you wanted to talk about today.
I did, because people were going in on her when she put out a comment on Cassie's apology, right? So Jeannie Mai puts a comment and she's like, Cassie, you're a voice of whatever it is that she said. I don't know the exact quote, but it was in support of Cassie, right? But the internet went in on her because of the allegations she has against Jeezy. And one of the most interesting comments I saw was someone said, y'all tread lightly because you didn't believe Cassie either, right? So I think that there's this, constant debate of like, okay, it's her word against his word. But when it comes to these accusations, do we turn a blind eye or side with the celebrity when we feel like we know that person, right? This is a little bit of the conversation that we had before. People, and I know you have a different perspective on this, right? Like, people don't believe Jeezy, and I don't know what to believe. I don't know a lot about their relationship. People don't believe he put hands on her.
Well, because I don't feel like he really knew this lady before he married her. And I think his situation and Puff's situation.
That this lady is crazy, TT.
No, I'm not going there, but I'm saying it's relatively different than Puff's. Let me just say why. Because Puff, there's kind of always been this rumor about him, right? And a lot of folks turned a blind eye. Jeezy, on the other hand, has always had the rumor of being a stand-up guy, a real G. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that this cannot be in his character, because we don't know a person when they're behind closed doors, right? But I kind of look at this through a different lens. It's like, I feel like Jeezy was a little hoodwinked when it came to this relationship.
Okay.
I feel like he got into this relationship thinking it was one thing, but in reality it turned out to be another. And then he was like, holy shit, I didn't sign up for this. So now I'm bowing out. Because it's unfixable, because this is not the person I really signed up for. I feel like she kind of catfished him a little bit. And I feel like, because at the time they got married, she was all on her talk show talking about the dark meat and this and that.
I remember that.
And then when they got together, he kind of gave her a little bit of clout, and he gave her some coolness when her career was on a downcline and the show was on a downcline. I feel like Jeezy gave her a little bit of like swag she never had before. And then, him being a real G, he ain't really with the cameras and the stories about their life leaking all over the internet and, Hollywood news, and this person got the inside scoop on their relationship. I don't feel like that is Jeezy's character at all. Like, he's such a real G that he keep his life. He's a rapper when he goes out and be a rapper. He's a businessman when he goes out and does his business. He's a private man when it comes to his family, his relationships. If you notice, Jeezy's personal life outside of like BMF and that time has always kind of remained private. Like, remember, like, we never really knew he dated anyone or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't have a lot of investment in their relationship, right? Like, I don't know Jeezy. I don't even think I ever met him.
He's such a nice guy.
Right, but you have met him.
I have met him. I have interviewed with him. I have been in many rooms with him. But again, I also have been in many rooms with Puff.
That's my question to you, because it's tough now in light of what has happened with Puff, right? Do you, when you see these accusations, because to me, I'm just looking at it, it's like, I don't know the truth, right? It's her word against his. It's Cassie's word against Puff until we see a video, right? But I look at it like, immediately as an audience, when a woman accuses a man, a celebrity, of domestic violence, I feel like people automatically write that person off like she's lying. And that's, with the Jeezy and Jeannie Mai thing, that's how I looked at it. I'm like, well, damn, I didn't even really research it enough. I didn't look into it enough. But I was like, well, damn, the internet just shut her down. Even when you said we don't know this lady, right? I thought it was funny because I think hip hop looks at her like an outsider,
Right.
Like she's not part of this community.
Well, she never was.
And we
And
protect
she never
who is.
Well, okay.
We protect our own. We protect who is. So when you call to this lady, I laugh because that's how we treat people who aren't in the community. Like, I don't know this lady. You know, she, and when he married, you said when he got with this lady, right? And it's true. That's how we feel. We look at Jeezy as being from within our culture, right? So we want to protect him. And that's how I feel like, you know, with Diddy and Cassie, I'm not saying because she was obviously a part of the culture, right? She's always been around. But because Diddy was such a representation of hip hop and had such a legacy, we were very protective initially of him. And then we saw the video and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe how horrible he is. And now everybody's on, you know, and with a microphone in front of them talking about how horrible he was to her. So I wonder about the Jeezy and Jeannie Mai thing, just because I feel like people don't like her. She's an outsider, people don't like her. So immediately they
dismiss her claims.
They just dismiss whatever she said. And that's hard for a woman if she did go through that. And if he did put hands on her. And if she, because I always say this, it takes a lot for a woman to come out and say this happened to me, because it's humiliating. And she does have a public image and a public profile, right? It is humiliating to make those accusations and have to be that person. So I kind of look at it like from a different lens, like, well, would she really say that? If he didn't put his hand, would she really go there knowing that you're going to jump in that lion's den and people are going to eat you up for making those accusations against him?
Why put yourself out there if it's not true?
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And maybe that, and I'm not saying I believe every woman that makes an accusation, but whenever I come into a situation and I read it, I look at it and I'm like, well, why would she say that? Yeah. Like, if I don't see a clear
I'm not
motive,
dismissing her at all.
Right.
Let me be clear. I'm not dismissing her at all. I think that every woman should be taken seriously.
Their accusations, right?
Absolutely. Because you never know who someone is behind closed doors. So one of the big headlines that came out too was The Dream is now being lumped into this sexual assault category as well, because his protege, former artist who says that she moved to LA to work with him and to have this big career, and he promised her all of these things, but what she got was abuse.
Yes.
And in that document was really disturbing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, now here's somebody who's worked with Beyonce,
right?
You know, who's worked with some of the biggest names in the culture, and who happens to be one of my favorite artists.
Right.
To read that was so disappointing for me, because anybody that knows me knows that I love The Dream, and I love his writing, producing. He's just dope 360 around. But I wonder if Beyonce, being the type of figure that she is, and how much she stands on business when it comes to women, would she separate herself from him as a bold statement of, I do not condone this behavior? Right.
So here's the question. So you believe the allegations against The Dream?
When I read it, it's hard not to believe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's hard not to believe.
So it was based on like what you read.
Right.
That's interesting. Coming off of Jeannie Mai, I keep saying her, this coming off this lady, coming off this lady and going to, do you know the name of the girl who made the accusations?
I think the difference between Jeannie and Jeezy for me is that the story has been flipped so many times, and I just feel like it's all over the place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So there's too many.
It's too many inconsistencies for me.
Yeah, it's a lot going on in their situation.
Right? So it becomes, when I look at it in its entirety, it's like, oh, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that, now you did this, now you did that. It's like, yo, I want to see the full spectrum, because I feel like that situation is such a publicity-driven divorce that we're missing the real and the consistency.
Right.
Does that make sense to everybody in the room of what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I feel like it's too much people in their business before it even makes it to court? Like, how does TMZ or, People Magazine know that this is about to happen before it happens, before it actually makes it to the court? Somebody is leaking this information.
Because the court of public opinion really
shifts
for them. It shifts, but it's for a couple like Jeezy and Jeannie, this lady. The court of public opinion is almost more important than what happens in court, because their careers and their bottom line is dependent on their public image.
So in the documents, he is being accused of rape, sex trafficking, and assault. That is what is in the documents that she is accusing him of.
Okay.
Again, women should be taken serious when these allegations are being made. And I'm just curious to see how this is going to play out, because he's so involved in these super mega stars.
Right. Well, we were just talking about press strategy, right? And I think, again, when these allegations come out, it really hinges to me on public perception, right? So I'm sure there's a strategy in even putting these allegations out, right? Like, I'm not sure where they came out at first, if it was a TMZ thing or how people found out.
She said she had a quote in the New York Times.
Right.
And I feel like the New York Times picked that up because they know that he is tied to Beyonce.
Of course, but usually when you're filing a case of that magnitude, your legal team will have a PR arm, and they'll be like, we're going to do this. We're going to file this on this day, and on that day, we're going to put you in front of CNN or whatever. It's always a part of the case. It's a strategy that attorneys use to shape public opinion, right? So, like, even them, and I don't know. I have to do more deep dive into that Dream case. Like, I know the allegations sound horrible. I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't know his character. I don't know anything about her either. So I think I got to do my due diligence. It's just that it's also, if I'm an attorney, it's a good time right now. If I've been talking to you about your situation and you've been thinking about filing a case against this person, and in light of everything that we're seeing right now, if you notice, it's almost like the Me Too, the second wave or third wave of Me Too with these allegations.
But that's why I'm saying, like,
because everybody's like,
what's the lesson in all of this? Like, what's the lesson in all of this? When we see our icons, or people that have contributed so much to the culture, what's the lesson in all of this? What's the biggest lesson we can learn? The Dream, Puff, Jeezy. What is the lesson?
I think for me, right, I look at, the lesson for them is that when you get to a certain level of success, right, and money and power, you have a big responsibility to conduct yourself, not just, don't go out there and do these things and abide by the law. No, like, you need to understand that you have so much influence over your audience, over the community, that you have a responsibility to act accordingly and to act actually like a leader, because you can change the course of, like, people and how the public responds to things. You know what I'm saying?
Mine is very simple. What you do in the dark will always come to light. And one day you will face the man in the mirror.